Right, ladies and gents, welcome back to Sofa Safari. We're here trying to investigate what this is. Quite an interesting way to start an episode of Sofa Safari. Just bumbling along the road. We're actually looking for lions. There's a couple of them lying about here, so if you see them, please let me know. But yeah, just bumbling about and came across this sitting next to the road. And got a very weird texture. Maybe if I bring that a little bit closer, you guys can see. Very soft. It's got a very sweet smell to it. My tooth. Very edible, even though I just spat it out. But yeah, interesting. My first assumption is that this is a big tuber that's been dug out of the ground by our big friends, the elephants. But then I'm wondering why he hasn't actually finished and eaten it. It's been lying here in the dirt for a while, or is obviously dug up recently. I can't find anywhere for it, anywhere where it's been dug up from. So this is the thing, when you are a ranger or guide, you kind of sometimes have to investigate and just sometimes be a little bit confused by things. We don't know everything. And yeah, just interesting. I mean, I can actually squish that together. So it's either a nice big chunk of a root that's been dug up, or what I think is a tuber or bulb, for some of you that don't know what a tuber might be, because Britt just asked me what's a tuber. But yeah, I mean, these things can give life or growth. It's basically the dormant cycle or stage of something like one of the little flowers or succulents that we get popping out of the ground every summer as soon as we've had a bit of rain. But the elephants love to eat this, the big ones like this. You do get a lot of smaller bulbs, little tubers, that the things like Sternbach and maybe a daker might enjoy doing, but they're just little guys, so they'll just dig it out, and just eat it quickly. Whereas when you see something big like this, it's definitely an elephant that's dug this out. They come along, they can actually smell, and I've seen them do it a few times. They kind of walk and walk, see them smelling the ground, and then they stop. And I've seen this on one occasion when an elephant actually curled its trunk and stopped and curled its trunk and hit the ground. And I think what it was trying to do is hear if it was a little hollow pot underground, where a tuber might be hiding. And once he had hit the ground, he then started to kick it out. And eventually something about this big, it's like a smaller, maybe a bit smaller than this, popped out. And even for an immensely big elephant, this is a tricky thing for their trunk to get around. And so what he did is he stood there for a while trying to figure out how he could get it up and into his mouth. They're not like us. They don't have two hands where they can just pick it up. They've only got one hand, and that hand comes down into your index finger and your thumb. So if you can imagine that being on the ground, an elephant trying to, pick this up with his trunk, he really was struggling. And eventually what he ended up doing is he pushed it up to his leg, and he rolled it up to his leg like that. He managed to roll it all the way up. I'm not dirtying my clothes, but he rolled it all the way up like this, because these are my good clothes. And eventually got it up to his neck and then basically into his mouth, and then he just crunched it. It's one of my most memorable elephant sightings I've ever had, and I think this is basically one of those things. You see how easily this can just peel apart, and as I say, it tastes sweet, it smells sweet, and it's pretty dirty, evidently, but very, very interesting. We don't know everything, as I say, and if you have any further comments of this or any more knowledge on this, let us know in the comments. But let's carry on looking for those lions. Welcome back, everybody. Let's see what we find. Stick around. Right, so while we're looking for our lions, I thought I'd quickly stop and check this thing out on the ground. The reason being is lions killed this thing here, and this thing happens to be the old skull of a buffalo. And I mean, you can see it, big old buffalo. If I put it there, look like a pretty good Halloween costume, I'm sure. But yeah, big old buffalo. Shame we got a little mantis over there. He's just hanging out. What looks like a mantis, one of them at least. But yeah, very cool. The lions did kill this a couple of years ago, somewhere over here. So the hyenas have just been gnawing on this and moving it around here and there. Pretty cool, because you can see the keratin sheath of the horn. So inside there you'll have bone running all the way around. But what's nice about this one is you can actually see the honeycomb of the skull and this boss up here. So remember, with big buffalo bulls, they've got what you call a boss, this big sort of, if you see that groove going straight down the middle, that's the boss there. So it's hard to hold this with one hand or two hands. Maybe if I do that, Britt will be able to pick me up. But that would usually be covered in keratin and then some nice bit of fluff there, maybe a bit of skin and fur. And the reason why I wanted to show you that is because it's pretty cool. That honeycomb there basically helps to absorb some of the impact from when buffalo headbutt each other, when they're trying to fight for the honor of a lady, or maybe a bit of just a scuffle inside one of the big herds. And that just helps him absorb the sort of almost 850 kilogram pressure coming straight against them at 40 kilometers an hour. So yeah, just a little bit of an adaptation there. But the main reason I wanted to stop here is to show you these things underneath. So I'll bring it close. Sorry, it's pretty heavy and I haven't gymmed in about three years. So yeah, getting a little bit out of breath. But you see all of these little things underneath, and I can tell that they're no longer inhabited. So I'm going to actually just pull a little bit off for you and bring it a bit closer like that. And if you look closely at the horn, you'll see there's some holes into the keratin there. Now this is the larval stage of a horn or a keratin eating moth. And they basically go inside here. They have this little protective tube, and I believe they make this out of their own excrement and, you know, a little bit of the keratin obviously coming through their system. And it's inside here that they'll slowly pupate and feed on the keratin from this sheath. And as far as I know, this is one of the only little creatures out here, or only ways that keratin is processed and broken down in the ecosystem. So quite an important role that they play. Of course, keratin is like your fingernails, your hair, and you know, even after things die, even human beings, your hair continues to grow and your nails continue to grow. So keratin is a very strong and long-lived and just, you know, indestructible, not literally, but substance. So it's quite interesting to know that there's something like a little moth, a keratin-eating moth larva that will eat this, and it can sometimes take them a year, maybe a year, maybe even 2 years, for them to stay inside these tubes and feed on the keratin and slowly pupate and metamorphosize and eventually come out as the fully fledged moth once they've fed enough. But I don't know, I'm sure there might be a few inside here and there. It's pretty cool. I just really enjoy stopping to enjoy this. It's got quite a cool texture. They're pretty squishy, not very hard at all. But yeah, very cool. Nature's little intricacies. You can see with the buffalo skull, that's where his brain was inside there. So yeah, not a immensely big brain. They're not the most intelligent animal, I must say. But yeah, cool. Nice specimen. Just like our giant tuber that we just found. Very cool specimen. I've never seen something like that. So I'm still going to go back and chat with my colleagues, Foreman, see what Dale says, see what Chad says, and see what that's maybe from. Maybe I can give you a bit more information in the next episode. But anyway, let's carry on. Let's see if we can find some kitty cats this afternoon. It's been a while since myself and Brits have shown you guys kitty cats or lions on Sofa Safari. So let's hold thumbs, cross our fingers, and hope to see some cats this afternoon. Stick around. We have found quite a special little creature. I believe I think Chad maybe saw one on one of his drives, but throughout this past few seasons the grass has been very long. So we haven't been seeing these little guys all that much. This is called a Sternbach, everybody. And that's just about as big as it's ever going to get. So a very, very cute little animal. Nice white tummy. Sort of brown on top. You see him digging a hole there at the moment, maybe looking for a tube or having a wee. There we go. It's one of the few animals or antelope that will actually dig a hole to have a wee. And when it defecates, it will throw some sand over that defecation. Now, quite interesting that. Let's see if he covers it up, whatever he's doing there. Yeah, it looks like he's having a bit of a poo. Although I can't see from this distance, maybe Britt can with the camera. Are there horns there, Britt, or no horns?
Yeah.
Are there horns?
Horns.
Alright, so it's a little male if it has horns. But yeah, you can see he was just covering up his dung, trying to hide his tracks. And so there's two schools of thought on this. And one I agree with quite a bit, and the other one I don't. The reason why they might hide their dung or cover their dung is because A, they're trying to either hide their dung or their scent from leopards, because leopards are their main predator. Or B, they might be trying to prolong their scent in the area from a territorial point of view. But burying things underground will definitely prolong the scent, or the longevity of your scent. But something actually has to come and dig it up to find that scent. So it's a little bit of a strange one. Let me quickly see if we can reposition and get it back on camera for you all. Right guys, so we tried to get a better view of this little Sternbach, but they're just like that tall, so he's ducked and dived into the bushes here and we just couldn't get anything too good. But very interesting behavior to see him digging a little pit for his little latrine for his dung there, and then also covering it up. So as I was saying, either they say that he's trying to hide his scent from leopards, which is the thing that I agree with, or predators in general, just his whereabouts or his general area of operation, or some other people think that he's trying to preserve his scent, his territorial scent. So yeah, interesting. Depends which one you go for. I go for the leopard one. I think that's a bit more plausible. Or he may just enjoy doing it. The females also do it, by the way. But yeah, little Sternbach, very cute, great little animal. I'd love to have one as a pet. You know, you can just imagine it running around the backyard. But yeah, the reason we call it a Sternbach, a stern is a stone or a brick in Afrikaans, is just because of the color of a stone or a brick. And the other theory is that, you know, when they do get chased by a leopard through the bush, They're quite nifty, they're very quick, they duck and dive through all the trees and the bushes, and as soon as they think they've got a little bit of a gap, they just freeze and they stop in the hope that the leopard's going to just shoot past them and miss them altogether. So they freeze like a stone or like a brick. But you know, it just depends which one you want to go for, because at the end of the day, you do see them hanging from trees pretty often, so leopards do chow them quite a bit. So their defense mechanism is there, but does it work all that well? Anyway, let's try and find you guys some cats. So as we're driving along, there's just always little bits that pop out. One of the things that I really enjoy coming across out here, just because it makes me smile, makes me laugh a little bit, is this over here. So this is a little silver raisin, or from the grevia family. It's a small bush, but at the moment you can see that it's completely upside down. It's been completely uprooted by our friends the elephants, and then all they do is they kind of just flop it onto its head so that they can eat those delicious roots. So yeah, just the small little joys that you need to find out here. I just love that. They kind of pull it out of the ground, turn it upside down, and then they can feed on the roots quite nicely. So yeah, always cool to see as you're driving around. Anyway, let's carry on, guys. I have a good feeling that we'll come across these lines at some point soon. I hope. Just had a very excited shout from the back. Oh, Kudu on the termite mound. So we stopped reversed, and here she is sitting on top of quite a big termite mound. Well, not sitting, standing. And she's managed to scale up that quite immense termite mound in order to feed on what looks to be a nice delicious knobthorn acacia. So yeah, quite interesting. It's always nice to see animals on top of the big termite mounds that we get out here, the Termiteriums, out here in southern Africa. And you can see she's just noticed that we're here, so she's having a good look at us. But yeah, nice Kudu cow, everybody, and I'm sure she's got some friends around here. I can actually see some zebra in the background, and I'm sure there's another kudu or two around. But yeah, it always creates quite a nice photographic opportunity when you get animals that are like this, because you end up with that eye level photograph, you know, that we're all looking for as photographers all the time. So for any of you that are photographers, keep that in mind. If you ever see animals on an elevated point, I'm sure you already know, or you'll see it straight away, get that photograph, guys. The only reason why I'm not going to take this photo, and I will try as soon as we drive around the other side, but at this point in time the sunlight is just terrible for a photograph from this viewpoint here. But as you can see, classic, she's got a couple of oxpeckers sitting on her back there. I'm sure that they are red-billed oxpeckers, and they seem to be just chilling out at this point in time. But a lot of the time those oxpeckers will be running up and down the animal's body, busy looking for ticks and mites to feed on and all sorts of goodies. You know, it's a win-win situation. The oxpecker gets fed and the kudu gets cleaned up. However, on occasion, and I have mentioned this before, but on occasion they will pester old wounds and keep old scabs and scars open and bleeding, and it's so that they can feed on that. So for me, it's kind of you know, in textbooks they'll often say that this is a mutualistic symbiotic relationship, meaning that both the bird and the kudu are benefiting. But from time to time, I believe it turns into a parasitic relationship where the bird is actually pestering those old wounds, not letting them heal, and just feeding on the animal's fresh blood that's coming out. It's a bit gnarly, a bit gross, but yeah, that does happen. So yeah, but for the most part, it's a pretty good relationship, and I think that's what dupes a lot of these animals into believing that it's always a good relationship when sometimes it isn't. But yeah, nice to see you up there. How are you, sweetie? Hope you're having a good afternoon, enjoying the view from all the way up there. And I think there's another kudu that might come and join her in a little bit. Right guys, so we've managed to come around the other side, and our cute little kudu has decided to remain queen of the castle. So you can see, just a quick little photography tip, always make sure that the light is right, always try and get onto the right side of the light. I mean, from the other side it could have worked out if you wanted that more silhouette-y kind of shot, but look at how beautiful that light is now with her kind of eye level. It just gives such a nice feeling to your photograph. So yeah, a little photo tip for everybody, and nice to stop and admire a beautiful animal nonetheless. Something really cool over here. Let's go check it out. So you have a look at the big thing, the Termiterium. It's a termite mound, but we're not too interested in the actual mound, although there's a couple of very cool things that are going on here. What we're most interested in are those holes that are going straight underground. Let's go check them out. All right, so you can see that it was something that wasn't too successful in what it was doing, because it doesn't go all that deep, but there's two little diggings here. And what's also quite cool is if you check up here, you can see that an elephant has maybe come and scratched itself against here. It's just nice and smooth in comparison to the roughness there. You can see that very coarse elephant skin, and they've scratched their butts. They have a good time. Anyway, so this would probably be an aardvark that's been digging here. And there is, a little sort of secret, a little cheat, if you will, to figure out what animal has been digging a hole. And this is going to maybe confuse you guys a little bit, because this is not a typical one. But generally there's two animals, or a number of animals out here, that dig holes. But the two animals that you can consider that will dig holes into the ground are the porcupines and the aardvarks. And the way that you generally tell the difference is a porcupine will dig a hole that kind of has that quite angular bit like that, so it kind of digs in at an angle like that, and the aardvark will dig quite a rounded hole like that. Okay, they're both just very different at what they do, and an aardvark is a far more capable digger than a porcupine. So when I look at this hole here, you can actually see that it does more of that angular thing, so you would think that it's a porcupine, but a porcupine has really no business digging into the side of a termite mound, because porcupines are vegetarian. They like to eat roots, they like to eat tree bark, things like that, whereas aardvarks like to eat ants and termites depending on the season. So this would be an aardvark that's come through here. He's busy exploring. He's trying to see if it's worth his while digging into this termite mound, see if he can get some dinner. And they can eat a tremendous amount of termites. I think the number is upwards of 200,000 termites in one night, kind of thing. Ridiculous. I might be wrong on that. Anyway, we're not always right. But yeah, so he's come through here and dug into it. Now they dig for two reasons: either just to find termites to feed on, or they dig into a termite mound for a place to dwell in. You can see he obviously didn't dwell in this, because if he was in here, it would be a very deep hole, probably going in, doing a bit of a U shape going down there, where he would then sleep. And usually what you would find, if there is actually an aardvark in here, they're actually quite stinky beasts. So if there was an aardvark in there, there would be a lot of these little flies that sort of buzz around the entrance to that hole where the aardvark would be, because they like his stench. So yeah, just nice to see that an aardvark's been digging. He tried again there, didn't come right again, and then I think he just moved off for the evening. But yeah, this is a big termite mound, guys. This is probably a good few decades old, many decades old, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. Who knows? We can't talk, so I can't ask you, but it's big, been here for a long time, and I'm sure it's going to be here for a very, very long time still. So yeah, I'd say that the termite mound is still active. The reason I say that is because you can see it's just not in disrepair, and it's not falling apart. Very often you find termite mounds, they lose that outer casing, and all you see is the Swiss cheese, all the holes going everywhere, and that just shows you that they're not maintaining it. But when you see it like this, and it's got quite a nice smooth exterior, I mean, sure, there's damage here and there, but a nice smooth exterior would show that, or would indicate that they are maintaining it, they are keeping it nice and closed in, and keeping their little microclimate inside there in place, and yeah, in perfect conditions, optimal conditions for them. But what I like most about this whole situation is where you can tell that an elephant has walked up here and scratched its side or its butt or whatever. But yeah, cool. The signs of an aardvark, very, very special animal. Right, folks, so while we're still on our lion hunting escapades, which getting a bit tedious, we're still bumping into other bits of wildlife here and there, and this is a beautiful, beautiful male waterbuck, or a waterbuck bull. And he's got a bunch of birds busy fluttering around in there. Those are the classic fork-tailed drongos trying to catch insects out of the air. Maybe that he's stirring out of the grass. But ever since we've arrived, he's just been standing dead still, staring at us, as if we can't see him as long as he keeps still, which is quite cute. But yeah, I mean, they're called waterbuck, as the name would suggest. They fancy themselves some water. So you don't often find them, more than maybe 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers from water. So yeah, they do enjoy being around it. They're quite an interesting animal in terms of, rumors and things, hearsay that goes around on them. They have these, what you call sebaceous glands, or glands found in the skin, that secrete an oily-like substance, which helps them deal with being in water a lot, is the theory. So, it's like a duck or a goose or something. Something that's in water a lot will have oils, natural oils that are secreted to stop the buildup of mildew and bacteria and fungi and things like that. And these guys also have those glands around the neck and around the hooves and things like that, or areas like that. and they say that it's those particular glands that actually stop lions and things like that from being too keen on hunting waterbuck, because as they bite through these glands they release the oil, and that can then taint the meat and make it taste quite horrible. So yeah, I mean, look, in my career I've seen lions eat some pretty horrific things. So I don't know if a little bit of sebaceous oil is going to really turn the lions off too much, but you know, there it is. Use it, don't use it. But yeah, beautiful little fluffy, well not little, they're quite big, but beautiful fluffy antelope. Imagine that coat gets quite hot during summer, but right now, sort of in winter going into spring, I'm sure he's quite happy with his nice shaggy coat. Beautiful. Not an antelope that we see around Termiterium too much, or this particular area of the Termiterium. I mean, all of our river systems are fairly dry throughout the year. We do have a couple of watering holes here and there, so we do have a few waterbuck here. But in comparison to some other parts of the Kudu where there's big rivers that are perennial, that flow all year, there's just waterbuck everywhere in those areas. So for us to come across a nice waterbuck pool like this is quite a treat. And so we thought we'd stop and show you all. And I hope you enjoyed them. Our lions are roaring. Let's go follow up. Form, turn off, we've got lions calling. Right, good morning everybody. If you're wondering why I've had a change of clothes, it's because I have. I've even had a shower and I've had a sleep. It is the next morning. As you can see, beautiful light out here today. And lucky enough, one of our ninja trackers named Jack, a lot of you will know Jack that have been to Termiterium before, was able to locate us the river pride this morning, or at least a bit of them. We've got 3 females here, one of the Naru males, and then the cub, single lone remaining cub, busy feeding on a baby giraffe. So yeah, great start to the day. I know last night myself and Britt sat in the dark for about an hour and a half waiting for the other 2 males and the other female to call so we could triangulate where they were, and we tried. They called 3 times. We tried to find them. The bush was just really thick, so it was quite frustrating, and we just could not find them. But we tried. We put the time in, and yeah, sometimes things just don't work out. But great to come across the lions this morning feeding on a baby giraffe. It's not every day that you get to see lions feeding on a giraffe. It's quite thick where they are, but you know, that's just what you have to deal with when you're working within nature. It's not always the easiest to see these animals doing what they do. But yeah, I mean, lions do love eating giraffe, so it's not uncommon in the grand scheme of things for lions to eat giraffe. And generally speaking, they usually get one of the babies just because they're a bit easier to catch. But on occasion, you do hit the major jackpot and you get lions that have taken down like a full-grown 1.4 ton giraffe male, which is pretty cool to come across. And that's kind of like a 5-6 day affair. Once the lions are done, the hyenas move in, then the vultures move in. It's just a great happening. Not for the giraffe, of course, but for the lions and for all of us that like to take photographs. But yeah, we're going to keep them in frame. We might just move around a little bit here, see if we can get the cub feeding. He is there, or she is there at the moment, busy feeding with that Naru male, potentially her father. And they seem to be feeding quite peacefully next to each other, which is, you know, I think for the most part, male lions only really eat peacefully next to their cubs, not so much next to their pride females. So yeah, not all the time. They can be very aggressive individuals, but for today, he seems to be quite enjoying his daughter's company there, busy sharing a meal. Quite cute. Every once in a while, you do hear the little cubby giving a growl to her father, you know, sort of asserting her young dominance. But yeah, let's stick around. Let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
very cool to see the Nara male standing up now with his big fat belly. You can see he's the guy that has the limp. So you can see he's starting to put a lot more pressure on that leg these days. He's looking a lot better. And just a few weeks ago that leg wouldn't even touch the ground. So always nice to see lions making a bit of a recovery. He's pulled his giraffe around a little bit, you know, for some reason, just to show how strong he is. And now he's going to have a bit of a sleep, I think. It's beautiful as well to see little cubby come out and walk around there, also big fat tummy. And awesome to see how big she's getting now. She's looking strong and vibrant. And yeah, it's still unfortunate that she lost all of her siblings, but for her that means more meat on the table, more chance to grow, to get strong. And that needs to happen pretty quick, because when we look at the river pride, there is a very old female in this pride, the granny, and she has just about lost all of her teeth now. So she's going to start struggling in the next half a year to a year, and so these girls will need a replacement for their army of four. Little cubby's coming back towards dad. Mm-hmm. If a fat little lion cub doesn't melt your heart, then I don't know what will.
Right, folks, so luckily we got the lions. Brit's very happy. She's been quite down and out about not being able to film lions for the last however many weeks, maybe months. So very happy that we found them this morning after all of our trials and tribulations last night and not finding them. But yeah, great little sighting for us here this morning on a little giraffe kill. We thoroughly enjoyed it. But yeah, thank you for joining us once again for another episode of Sofa Safari. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As usual, you're more than welcome to please post your comments below, your questions. Please share, like, all those good things that you can do to help us. And yeah, we'll catch you in the next one, guys. Please don't forget to keep sending your requests. We'll keep trying to tick them off. Although nature is nature, so we don't just have everything lying and waiting for us to find them. But have a great day wherever you are. Enjoy your gin and tonic, your cup of coffee, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers, folks.